The stars above the planet were dim, hidden behind a dusty sky. Once the world had been full of life and brilliance, but now it was silent. The city ruins stretched for miles, broken towers leaning like tired giants, streets cracked with weeds pushing through the stone. The people who remained, tall, thin aliens with pale skin and tired eyes, moved quietly, as if every step cost them more than they could give. Their race had once been known across the galaxy. Long ago, they had ships, trade, and allies. But when disease swept through their crops and storms ruined their harvests, they turned to the Galactic Council for help. The Council listened, judged, and gave a cold answer. Not worth the resources. Since then, the aliens had been forgotten. Other species passed their dying planet without pause. Their children starved, their machines rusted, and hope became a rare thing. Many believed that one day soon, their entire people would simply vanish. On a gray morning, as smoke rose from weak fires in the city square, the sky split open. A ship descended, not one of their old kind, but something new, smaller, rougher, built for survival rather than beauty. It was a human ship. The engines roared as dust scattered across the ground. The aliens gathered, watching with fearful curiosity. They had heard rumors of humans, wild death-worlders too stubborn to die, too emotional to be trusted. The council often mocked them, but no one here had ever met a human before. The ship's doors opened. Out stepped a group of people in sturdy suits, carrying packs and tools. Their leader was a man with short dark hair and eyes that scanned the ruins with both caution and compassion. His name was Captain Elias Ward. He raised a hand in peace. "We come to help," he said, his voice carried through the translator device on his chest. The aliens looked at one another, suspicious. One of the elders, a woman whose thin frame shook with every breath, stepped forward. "Help? No one helps us. You will leave like the others." Elias shook his head. "We don't leave people to die. Not if we can do something." His crew began unloading supplies, containers of food, water purifiers, medical kits. The aliens gasped softly as they saw bread sealed in packages, fruit dried for storage, and clean water flowing from machines. For many children, it was the first fresh water they had tasted in years. An alien boy, no older than 6, reached out with trembling fingers toward a human water pouch. The human medic knelt and handed it to him gently. The boy drank deeply, then looked up with wide eyes. For the first time, a weak smile appeared on his face. The elder frowned, confused. "Why would you do this? You gain nothing from us. The council will punish you." Elias stood tall. "Then let them. We don't walk away from those who need us." The aliens murmured among themselves. They had learned to distrust promises. Yet the humans worked quickly and without hesitation. They repaired old wells with portable machines, sealing cracks and filtering poisoned water. They set up lights, powered by solar cells, chasing away the deep shadows in the broken streets. Children followed the humans as they moved, curious and amazed. They touched the humans' tools, stared at their strange clothing, and asked endless questions in their soft, echoing voices. The humans answered with patience, laughing sometimes. When the children tried on helmets too big for their heads, still not all aliens trusted them. Some whispered that humans had hidden motives. Others feared the wrath of the council. At night, in a crumbling hall, the elders argued. "They will bring trouble here," one said. "The council will come, and we will suffer even more." "Perhaps," the elder woman replied. "But look outside. The children are laughing. When was the last time we heard such a sound?" Beyond the hall, under the starlight, children chased each other around the campfires. Humans joined in, teaching them games, throwing small stones into circles, balancing sticks, racing across the cracked pavement. For the first time in many years, the city square rang with life. Elias sat apart, writing notes on his datapad. One of his officers, Lieutenant Mara, approached him. She was strong and sharp-eyed, but tonight her voice was softer. "Captain, we should be careful. The council will not ignore this. They'll call us reckless. I know, Elias said quietly. But tell me, Mara, could you walk away now? Mara looked at the laughing children, their glowing eyes reflecting firelight. She shook her head. No, I couldn't. The next day the humans spread further. They visited the broken fields where dead crops lay like dust. Human engineers dug into the soil, testing samples. They explained how to enrich the land, how to grow again. They marked places where irrigation could be rebuilt. The aliens listened, their hopelessness slowly shifting into fragile belief. A healer among the aliens named Taryn watched closely. She had spent her life treating sickness with dwindling herbs and broken tools. When she saw the humans use medicine that healed burns within hours and stopped fever in minutes, her eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "We are not forgotten." The humans didn't just give aid, they taught. They showed how to fix small machines, how to filter air, how to repair roofs with stronger material. Every lesson was simple, meant for survival. They didn't treat the aliens as weak. They treated them as equals who had been abandoned unfairly. By the end of the week, the difference was clear. Fires burned brighter. Families had food for their children. The streets were still broken but no longer silent. Life was returning. But whispers spread too. A messenger drone, unseen by the humans, left the planet and raced into the stars. Its signal carried a single warning to the Council. Humans are interfering. They refuse to leave. Back on the planet, Elias stood at the edge of the ruins, staring at the horizon. He knew trouble would come. He could almost feel the Council's eyes watching, waiting to strike. Yet when he turned back and saw alien children playing beside his crew, he felt his resolve harden. Whatever came, humanity would not abandon these people. Not now. Not ever. The human camp glowed with soft lights under the broken skyline. Smoke from cooking fires drifted into the evening air, carrying the smell of roasted roots and grain supplied from Earth. The alien children sat in circles, eating carefully, still, not fully trusting that this food would last. Their parents watched in silence, torn between relief and fear. Captain Elias Ward sat with his crew, studying a star map on a flickering tablet. His officers leaned closer, voices low. "We've received an encrypted transmission," Lieutenant Mara said, her jaw tight. "The Council knows we're here. They've ordered us to leave immediately." Elias closed his eyes. He had expected this. "And if we don't?" "They'll accuse us of breaking interstellar law," Mara said. "They'll call us dangerous. Interference with a protected world is a crime in their eyes." "They never protected them," Elias muttered, his voice sharp. "They abandoned them, and now they want us to do the same." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They all knew the risk. The Galactic Council controlled trade, travel routes, even access to medical supplies. Defying them meant losing everything. But none of the humans spoke of leaving. Nearby, the alien healer Taryn overheard part of their conversation. She stepped closer, her thin frame outlined by firelight. Her large eyes reflected both hope and worry. "The Council has noticed you?" she asked quietly. Elias nodded. "Yes, they don't want us here." Her hands trembled as she held her staff tighter. "They will come. They will punish us. Anyone who helps us is always punished." Elias met her gaze. His voice was steady. "We aren't leaving you." Taryn searched his face as if trying to see if he truly meant it. In her lifetime, she had seen promises broken too many times. But something in his tone, calm, unshaken, made her believe. The next morning, the humans and aliens worked side by side. Solar panels gleamed on rooftops where only dust had rested for years. Wells began to flow again with clean water. In the fields, human engineers taught alien farmers how to use new tools to break the hard soil. The people of the planet began to move with energy they thought was lost forever. But in the shadows of the ruins, fear whispered. An old alien man named Valon gathered a small group in secret. His voice was sharp, full of bitterness. "The humans bring gifts, but the Council will not allow it. We should drive them away before worse comes." Others shook their heads. "They bring food. They heal our children." "For now," Valon argued. But what happens when the Council sends their ships? We will be crushed between them. The debate grew louder. Some wanted the humans gone. Others clung to them as the only light in their fading world. Divisions cut through families, through neighbors. Even as hope grew, so did fear. That evening, a silver drone dropped from the sky. It landed in the middle of the square, its smooth surface glowing with the seal of the Galactic Council. The crowd gathered as the drone unfolded, projecting a shimmering image into the air. A council envoy appeared, an alien of a different race, tall and dressed in ceremonial robes. His voice echoed cold and official. "Attention," he said. "This world is under the oversight of the Galactic Council. Interference by outside forces is forbidden. Humans, you will leave this planet immediately. Failure to comply will result in sanctions and enforcement." The image flickered, but the words were clear. The envoy did not wait for reply. The projection faded, and the drone rose back into the sky before vanishing into the stars. Silence hung over the square. The aliens looked at the humans with fear in their eyes. Some whispered, "They will leave us now." But Elias stepped forward, his voice loud and steady. "We're not leaving." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Terran stared at him, stunned. Even his own crew glanced at one another, surprised at how boldly he said it. Elias raised his voice so all could hear. "The Council may deny you, but humanity does not. We will stay, and we will fight for you if we must." The aliens were frozen, their faces caught between hope and disbelief. The children clapped softly, not fully understanding the danger, only hearing that the humans would not abandon them. That night the crew gathered again. The camp was quiet, except for the crackle of fire. Lieutenant Mara broke the silence. "Captain, you just declared war against the Council." Elias nodded. "I know." "Do you realize what this means?" she pressed. "We'll lose supply routes, medical support, even our own colonies may suffer. We could become outlaws." He looked around the circle at his officers. "You've all seen this world. You've seen their children starving, their people fading. Tell me, can you walk away now?" No one answered. Each of them remembered the children's smiles, the tears of parents when food was shared, the relief of clean water after years of thirst. Finally, Mara exhaled. "Then we're in this together." Days passed and human determination only grew stronger. They built shelters with alien families, repaired broken streets, and taught survival skills that turned hopelessness into strength. But the Council's reach was long. Supplies meant for the humans were intercepted in space. Cargo ships went missing. Rumors spread through the galaxy that humans were enslaving the forgotten race for their own purposes. Other species whispered, pointing at humanity as reckless, dangerous, too emotional to be trusted. Elias read these reports with calm fury. The Council's lies would spread, but the truth was here, in the faces of the people he refused to leave. One evening, Terran approached Elias at the edge of the city ruins. The horizon glowed red from a distant storm, lightning flashing across the clouds. "You are different from the others," she said softly. "When the Council left us, we thought no one would care again. Yet you stay, even as danger grows." Elias glanced at her. "We stay because it's right." Terran's eyes glistened. "My people call us the Forsaken, but when I see your crew teaching our children, I wonder, perhaps we are no longer forsaken." For a moment, silence stretched between them, broken only by the rumble of thunder. The Council's warning did not break the humans' will, it only hardened it. Every new threat, every intercepted shipment, every rumor spread across the stars seemed to make the bond between humans and the forgotten race stronger. But in the darkness of the void, ships moved, quiet, watchful, carrying orders from the Council. Storm was coming, and humanity had already chosen its side. The mornings on the ruined planet had changed. Once they began with silence and hunger. Now they began with movement and work. Human voices mixed with alien songs as the two peoples repaired walls, cleared debris, and planted new crops in soil that had not grown food for many years. Children carried buckets of clean water, laughing as they spilled some on their way. The city still looked broken, but life was returning like green shoots through cracked stone. But beneath this surface of hope, danger moved unseen. The Galactic Council did not forgive defiance. Somewhere in the void, their fleets gathered. Their agents whispered lies, and their influence seeped into the cracks of the alien society. One evening, as the sun sank into red clouds, Captain Elias Ward and his crew inspected the supply crates that had just been delivered by a small human shuttle. The crates had been sent from Earth colonies, packed with seeds, tools, and medicine. Elias felt relief as he looked at them. These supplies would carry the aliens through another season. But as the crew lifted one of the crates, a hiss escaped. From its side, Mara shouted, "Captain, back!" A sharp explosion tore through the air, throwing dust and fire into the square. The blast was not large enough to kill, but it was clear. Sabotage. The aliens screamed and scattered. Smoke rose as humans rushed to put out flames. Elias coughed through the ash, his mind racing. Who had done this? When the smoke cleared, he saw Terran helping wounded children, her hands steady despite her trembling body. She looked at him with fear. "The Council does not want you here. They will make us believe you bring only danger." Elias clenched his fists. "Then we'll show them the truth." The attack spread panic. That night, in the hall of cracked stone where the elders gathered, voices rose in anger. "This is the humans' fault," Phelan shouted, slamming his cane on the floor. "We lived in misery before, yes, but we were not targets. Now the Council watches us. They send destruction to punish us." "They saved our children," another elder argued. "Without them, we would still be starving. And now we may die by council fire instead of hunger," Phelan spat. The debate echoed long into the night. Fear pressed heavy on the room. Some wanted the humans gone, others begged them to stay. For every alien heart lifted by human kindness, another beat with dread of what the Council would bring. Terran sat in silence, torn between both sides. Her healer's heart could not ignore the children's laughter or the sick healed by human medicine. Yet she could not ignore the shadow of danger growing larger every day. Meanwhile, in the human camp, the crew gathered around the fire. "Lieutenant," Mara's voice was sharp with frustration. "The Council's spies are here. Someone fed them information. That crate was planted with a trap." Another officer, Ensign Kell, nodded grimly. "It means they've infiltrated the planet. We can't trust every face we see." Elias looked at each of them. "Then we watch carefully, but we don't stop helping. If we give in to fear, we prove the Council right." Mara's jaw tightened. "Captain, we're outnumbered and isolated. If the Council sends troops, they will," Elias interrupted. "And when they do, the people here need to be ready." His eyes turned toward the aliens beyond the campfire, huddled in their crumbling homes. "We train them. We give them strength. If the Council wants to crush hope, we'll make hope too strong to break." The next days were filled with new work. Humans taught aliens how to defend themselves. Spears were sharpened from scrap metal, slings crafted from old cloth, and traps hidden in ruined streets. It was not much compared to the firepower of the Council, but it gave the people purpose. Children learned as eagerly as adults. They practiced throwing stones, climbing walls, and carrying messages quickly between streets. Even the elders joined, repairing old tunnels beneath the city to use as hiding places if battle came. At first, many aliens resisted. They were healers, farmers, and builders, not warriors. But when Elias stood before them, his voice carried steady conviction. "You don't need to fight for conquest," he told them. "You only need to fight for your right to live, to stand and say, 'We are still here.'" Something in his words lit a fire in their hearts. Slowly, even the fearful began to believe. Still, the shadows deepened. Strange messages were whispered. In the night, claims that humans were only using the aliens as shields, that they planned to enslave them when the Council was gone. Phelan repeated these rumors with passion, convincing some that the humans were not saviors but dangerous tricksters. One evening, Elias found Taryn sitting on the steps of the broken hall, her face heavy with doubt. "Do you trust us?" he asked, quietly. She looked at him for a long moment before answering. "I want to, but my people have been betrayed too many times. Every promise has turned to dust. How do I know yours will not?" Elias did not try to argue. Instead, he reached into his pack and handed her a small object, a data pad with a list of supplies sent from Earth. "This is proof. My people gave up food and medicine meant for themselves so that you might live. They do not even know your names, but still they gave." Taryn touched the screen gently. Her voice broke. "Why? Why would you do this?" "Because," Elias said, "no one deserves to be left behind." For the first time, Taryn's doubt eased. She lowered her head, hiding tears that fell quietly. But, even as bonds grew stronger, the Council's hand tightened. A fleet had already begun to move closer through the stars. Spies sent more reports. And on the planet, sabotage struck again, this time in the fields. Crops newly planted were burned overnight, the flames lighting the sky with cruel brightness. The aliens woke to ash where their future should have grown. Despair returned like a cold wind, yet the humans refused to let it take root. Mara and her team spent the night replanting what little seed remained, working until their hands bled. Alien families joined, and together they saved what they could. "Let the Council see," Mara growled, sweat and soot covering her face. "We will not give up." Her anger burned like a beacon, and the aliens drew strength from it. Where once they might have fallen into despair, now they pressed on, stubborn as the humans who stood beside them. In the weeks that followed, a new bond grew between humans and aliens. It was more than survival. It was trust built in fire and ash in laughter and tears. The children followed Elias like a guardian. The farmers treated Mara's orders as if they came from one of their own elders. And Taryn, once doubtful, began to walk at Elias's side, not as a healer of her people, alone, but as a bridge between two races. Still the horizon darkened. Council ships drew nearer. The sabotage became bolder, and Valen's whispers grew sharper, louder, threatening to split the unity that had just begun. But in the ruins of a world once forgotten, a quiet determination took root. For the first time in generations, the aliens no longer saw themselves as forsaken. They saw themselves as a people worth saving, and humanity, stubborn as ever, had sworn they would not walk away. The storm of battle was coming, but now they would face it together. At dawn, alien eyes looked upward and saw streaks of silver cutting through the clouds. The Council fleet had arrived. Dozens of warships spread across the horizon like wings of metal, their shadows falling heavy over the ruined city. For the people below, it felt as if the sky itself had turned against them. In the square, panic rippled through the crowd. Mothers clutched their children, elders whispered prayers, and the young froze in silence, staring at the sky. For many, the sight of Council ships had once meant authority, justice, or order. Now it meant only fear. Captain Elias Ward stood at the center of the square with his crew. His voice cut through the noise. "Stay calm. We knew this day would come, and we are ready." His words did not erase the fear, but they steadied trembling hands. The aliens turned to him the way a drowning man looks at the shore. They wanted to believe him, even when their hearts said the Council was unstoppable. The humans had prepared. For weeks, they had worked with the aliens to turn ruins into fortresses. Broken towers became watchposts. Cracked walls were rebuilt into barriers. Old tunnels beneath the city were widened to serve as hiding places and escape routes. Children carried messages swiftly between posts. Farmers who had once bent only over crops now carried spears and slings. The elders, too weak to fight, prepared food, water, and medicines for those who would. Lieutenant Mara moved among them, her voice sharp and confident. "Remember your training. Stay hidden until you must strike. The Council believes you are weak. Prove them wrong." Taryn, the healer, gathered her people in the old temple that now served as a field hospital. Her hands were steady as she laid out bandages, herbs, and human medicine. Her heart beat fast, but she spoke with calm determination. "We will not surrender to despair. We will heal. We will endure." The council's warning came quickly. A booming voice echoed across the city from orbit. "This planet is under council law. Humans, you will surrender immediately. Aliens of this world, abandon your traitors and you will be spared. Resist and you will be destroyed." The message repeated again and again, cold and merciless. Some aliens trembled, whispering, "Maybe we should surrender." Others shook their heads fiercely. They remembered the hunger, the silence, the hopeless days before the humans came. Surrender meant returning to that fate. Elias climbed onto the ruins of a fountain, his voice rising above the fear. "Listen to them. They never helped you. They only abandoned you. And now they come to erase you. But you are still here. You are alive. And with us, you will remain alive." The crowd stirred. The fear did not vanish, but courage began to burn beside. The first attack came at noon. Shuttles dropped from the sky, their engines roaring, their weapons glowing. Council soldiers, tall, armored, and armed with energy rifles, marched through the dust. Their faces were hidden by masks, their movements sharp and cold. The humans waited in the ruins, hidden with their alien allies. Elias gave the signal. Stones flew from slings. Spears struck from windows. The first wave of soldiers stumbled as traps hidden in the ground snapped shut. Explosions rang as humans used scavenged explosives to bring down broken towers onto enemy paths. The city became a maze of resistance. Council soldiers fired into the streets, their weapons blazing. But the humans and aliens knew the ruins better. They moved through shadows, striking and vanishing. A child messenger darted through tunnels, carrying news of enemy movements. Farmers attacked with sharpened poles, disappearing into alleys before soldiers could aim. Lieutenant Mara led a group from rooftop to rooftop, sniping at enemies with precise bursts from her rifle. "Make them chase us," she ordered. "Keep them off balance." The aliens followed, fear slowly replaced by fierce determination. They had been left to die. Now they fought to live. In the temple, Terran worked without rest. Wounded were carried in, both human and alien. She used her herbs alongside human medicine, her hands steady even as the walls shook with distant blasts. A young alien boy with a bleeding arm whispered, "Will we survive?" Terran pressed bandages to his wound. "Yes," she said firmly, "because we fight together." Her words became a promise, repeated quietly by every healer and patient in the room. The battle stretched into night. Fires burned in the streets. Council soldiers advanced with heavy machines, walkers that stomped through rubble, firing bolts of energy that shattered stone walls. Elias and his team prepared their greatest trap. They had rigged the central tower, the tallest ruin still, standing, with charges made from salvaged fuel cells. As the walkers entered the square, he gave the order. The explosion shook the ground, the tower collapsing with a roar. Dust filled the air, and when it cleared, the machines lay buried beneath. Tons of stone. The aliens cheered, their voices echoing across the city. But the victory came at a cost. Many lay wounded, and the council ships above still circled like predators. The battle was not over. At dawn, the council withdrew their ground forces. From orbit, their fleet prepared for a final strike. If the city resisted soldiers, then fire from the sky would erase it. The people watched in terror as the ships above began to glow with charging weapons. Elias gathered his crew and the alien leaders. His voice was low, urgent. "If they fire, the city is lost. But they don't want destruction, they want fear. If we can force them to retreat even once, we show the galaxy that hope cannot be killed." Mara frowned. "How do we force them back? We have no fleet." Elias pointed to the old transmitters humans had repaired weeks earlier. "We show the galaxy everything. Broadcast their cruelty. Show every world that the council wants to burn children from the sky." They cannot hide once all see it. The plan was desperate, but it was the only chance. As the Council fleet prepared to fire, the humans activated the transmitters. Across the stars, images spread of Council soldiers attacking starving families, of children defending their ruined streets, of humans and aliens fighting side by side for survival. Worlds that had once ignored the Forsaken now watched in shock. Some cheered for humanity. Others whispered fearfully, "If they defy the Council, what else will they do?" The Council commanders hesitated. Their orders were to erase resistance, but to do so now meant the galaxy would see them as executioners. The hesitation grew into retreat. One by one, the ships pulled back into the dark sky. The city erupted in cheers. Children danced in the streets, elders wept, and warriors lifted their weapons in triumph. For the first time, they had stood against the Council and survived. Elias stood among them, his heart heavy but proud. He knew this was only the beginning. The Council would return, stronger and angrier, but now the aliens had something they had not in generations: hope. Taryn approached him, her hands still stained with medicine. "You gave us more than food or water," she said. "You gave us the strength to believe we could fight." Elias looked at her, then at the people around them. "You always had the strength. Humanity only reminded you of it." As the sun rose over broken towers and smoke, the people of the planet stood tall. Their world was still scarred, their future still uncertain. But together, they had survived the storm. And now, the galaxy had seen it too. The sun rose weakly through the haze of smoke. The city still smoldered from battle, its broken towers standing like wounded giants. Yet the streets were filled with movement, not silence. Humans and aliens walked side by side, carrying water, clearing rubble, and helping the wounded. The cries of despair that had once echoed through the ruins were replaced with voices of determination. The Council had withdrawn, but no one believed they were truly gone. The fleet had left not because of mercy, but because of shame. The broadcast of their cruelty still spread across the galaxy. Whole worlds now debated what they had seen. Some defended the Council, others whispered of rebellion. But here, on this forgotten world, the people no longer cared what the Council thought. They had survived, and that alone was victory. Captain. Elias Ward stood on a cracked wall overlooking the square. His uniform was torn, dusted with ash, but his stance was unbroken. Around him, his crew worked tirelessly. Mara directing repairs, Kel organizing supplies, others teaching the aliens how to maintain weapons and tools. Taryn, the healer, joined him on the wall. Her hands were stained with medicine, her eyes shadowed by exhaustion. Yet when she looked at the square below, her face softened. "They no longer walk with heads bowed," she said quietly. "They walk like people who believe tomorrow belongs to them." Elias nodded. "And that is why the Council fears you, not because of your weakness, but because of your strength when hope returns." Taryn glanced at him. "They will come again. You know this?" "Yes," Elias said simply. "But now you are not alone." In the following days, life changed quickly. The ruins were still ruins, but laughter filled the air. Children played games in the streets, using broken bricks as balls and ropes as climbing lines. Human engineers worked with alien builders to restore power to sections of the city. For the first time in many years, lights flickered to life after dark. The glow startled some at first, but soon it became a symbol. Darkness no longer ruled them. The aliens learned human skills eagerly. Farmers who had once worked with primitive tools now used irrigation systems. Elders learned to operate water purifiers. Even children took lessons in reading human languages, laughing as they stumbled over strange words. The bond between the two peoples deepened. They were no longer guests and hosts, not saviors and victims. They had become partners, sharing knowledge and hope. But not all was calm. Rumors reached the planet through secret channels. Other worlds had seen the broadcast and begun questioning the Council. Some demanded answers, others threatened to withhold trade. And whispers grew louder. If the humans could defy the Council and survive, perhaps others could too. Lieutenant Mara brought the reports to Elias one evening. Her face was thoughtful. "We've started something bigger than this planet, Captain. The Council will not forgive, but the galaxy is watching." Elias studied the stars above. "Then let them watch. Let them see what happens when humanity refuses to walk away." One night, a gathering was held in the square. Fires burned bright, and both humans and aliens filled the space. The elders stood before the people, their voices carrying into the night. For generations, one elder said, "We called ourselves the Forsaken. We believed no one would come. No one would care. But today we stand alive because strangers from across the stars refuse to abandon us." Taryn stepped forward, her healer's staff glowing faintly in the firelight. "We are not forsaken. We are not forgotten. We are not weak. We are a people reborn, and humanity is now part of our story." Cheers rose into the sky. The sound echoed through the broken towers, strong and unbroken. For the first time, the city felt alive again. As the crowd celebrated, Elias walked among them quietly. He did not seek cheers or thanks. He stopped to speak with children, knelt to help lift heavy stones, smiled at elders who touched his arm in gratitude. Humanity's strength was not in power alone, but in the small acts that proved they cared. A young alien girl ran up to him, her face glowing with joy. "Captain, look!" She held up a flower sprouting from soil that had been dead for years. Elias crouched, touched the fragile stem, and smiled. "It's the first of many," he said softly. The girl beamed and ran back to her friends. Elias stood, his heart heavy with hope. That flower was proof. Life would return. But even in celebration, warnings came. Scouts reported that Council probes still circled the skies, watching, waiting. No one doubted the Council would try again. Yet fear no longer controlled the people. Instead of despair, they prepared. Weapons were sharpened. Traps were rebuilt. The old tunnels were expanded. Children trained as messengers, stronger and faster than before. The aliens no longer waited for rescue. They had become their own defenders, inspired by human courage. Elias gathered his crew one evening. Around the fire, he looked at each of them, Mara, Kel, the others, faces tired but unbroken. "We came here as explorers," he said, "but now we are something more. This world is our stand, and the galaxy has seen it. No matter what comes, we have already won, because we refuse to leave." Mara smiled faintly. "You know, Captain, when history remembers this, they'll call us mad." "Maybe," Elias said, "but they will remember." The days stretched into weeks. Slowly, the scars of battle healed. Buildings were rebuilt. Crops began to sprout. Water flowed clean from wells. The city, once silent and dying, began to look alive again. Children of both races played together without fear. Human and alien families shared meals by firelight. The line between us and them blurred, until there was only we. One evening, Elias stood again on the wall with Taryn. The horizon glowed with the light of a new sunrise. She looked at him, her voice quiet but full of certainty. "The galaxy denied us, but you refused to leave. For that, you are part of us now." Elias looked out over the city, where laughter echoed and fires burned bright. He knew the Council would come again. He knew battles still waited. But he also knew something stronger than fear had been born here. "Together," he said softly, "we will face whatever comes. Together." The galaxy did not change overnight, but word spread. Stories of the humans who defied the Council carried to distant worlds. Some called them fools, others called them dangerous, but many, quietly, secretly, called them heroes. And on a once-forgotten planet, the truth lived in every smiling child, every rebuilt home, every flower growing from broken soil. The people were no longer forsaken. They had allies. They had hope. They had a future. The galaxy had denied them, but humanity, stubborn, fierce, and unyielding, refused to leave. And because of that, An entire people lived to see a new dawn.